What if your most stressful dream wasn't just stress? What if it was your mind trying to warn you, not with words, but with a story you keep reliving every time you close your eyes? There's one dream nearly everyone has had at some point. You're running, hiding, trying to get away, something, or someone is chasing you. And no matter how hard you try to escape, it always feels like you're seconds away from being caught. You wake up breathless, heart pounding, confused. But here's what most people never realize. This dream isn't random. It's not just your brain being dramatic. It's a coded message from your subconscious, and it almost always points to one thing. Anxiety, the kind that doesn't show up in obvious ways, the kind you carry without talking about it, the kind that builds quietly until your mind has no choice but to scream it into your dreams. But here's where it gets interesting. The dream isn't just reflecting your anxiety, it's revealing exactly what's causing it if you know how to decode the signs. Every detail in that dream has meaning. Who's chasing you, where it happens, what you can't do, and most importantly, what you never turn around to face. If you've had this dream more than once, your brain is trying to tell you something, and it won't stop until you finally listen. It always starts the same way. You're in motion, running, dodging, hiding. You don't know how you got there, but you know you're being followed. Your chest is tight, your legs feel heavy, and every turn you take just leads to another dead end. Something is behind you, something you're desperate to avoid. This is one of the most common anxiety dreams, being chased. And while it might look different for each person, the emotional blueprint is almost always the same. Panic, pressure, and an overwhelming sense that you're not safe. But here's what most people miss. This dream isn't about the chase. It's not even about what's behind you. It's about what you're avoiding. Because in almost every version of this dream, you never stop running. You never look back. And that's the key. Psychologists believe that chase dreams often appear when there's something in your life you're unwilling or unprepared to face. It might be a truth about a relationship, a decision you've been putting off, a responsibility that feels too heavy, or a part of yourself you've been trying to suppress. Your subconscious doesn't just invent fear out of nowhere. It picks up on things you consciously push aside. And when those things build up, your brain tries to process them the only way it can, by turning them into a symbolic scenario where you're being hunted by something you can't escape. And even though the chaser changes, sometimes it's a shadowy figure, a stranger, an animal, or something you can't quite identify. The feeling is always the same. You don't want to face it, so you run. But the more you run in your dream, the more likely it is that you're running from something real in your waking life, something that feels just as threatening, even if you've never said it out loud. Sometimes, the scariest part of the dream isn't what's chasing you. It's that you don't even know what it is. It's a blur, a presence, a feeling, and yet you run like your life depends on it. That's not your imagination. That's your subconscious at work. The chaser in your dream isn't random. It's a symbol, and more often than not, it represents something internal, not external. You're not being chased by a person. You're being chased by fear, guilt, shame, pressure. Something in your real life that feels overwhelming or unresolved, but you've never looked it in the eye. For some people, the chaser represents a deadline they've been avoiding. For others, it's a secret they're afraid will come out, or a decision they've been too scared to make. The mind doesn't always want to admit what's wrong directly, so it turns it into a figure, a threat, something outside of you, because that feels safer than admitting the danger is inside. This is especially true if you're dealing with hidden anxiety, not the kind that makes you visibly panic, the kind that simmers under the surface, the kind that shows up in your sleep because it's been bottled up all day. And the stranger part? The more you run from this dream figure, the more powerless it makes you feel. The more likely it is that you're avoiding something you know needs your attention, something that won't stop haunting you until you face it. So the next time you wake up from that dream, sweating and confused, don't just ask yourself what chased you. Ask what part of your life you've been too afraid to confront. Because that's the real face behind the fear. There's something almost universal about the helplessness that creeps into these dreams. You're trying to run, but your legs move in slow motion. You're screaming for help, but no sound comes out. You try to hide, but your body won't respond the way it should. This isn't just dream logic. It's a direct mirror of how powerlessness feels in real life. When your body fails you in a dream, It's often because your emotions are doing the same thing while you're awake. You feel stuck, silenced, unable to act, and your subconscious recreates that paralysis in the most dramatic way possible. Think about the moments in your waking life where you've wanted to speak up but didn't, where you've needed to make a move but second-guessed yourself into silence. The frustration, the tension, the fear of saying the wrong thing or not being heard, all of that turns into a dream where your voice disappears and your feet won't move. These physical limitations in chase dreams aren't flaws in your imagination. They're clues, indicators that your anxiety isn't just about fear, it's about control, or more accurately, the lack of it. The dream leaves you feeling like you're trying to escape something with all your strength, but your body just won't cooperate. That same feeling may be happening every day in small, invisible ways, at work, in a relationship, even in your own thoughts. And the scariest part? You get used to it. The emotional numbness, the constant tension, until your brain decides enough is enough and sends the message another way, through dreams that leave you breathless, panicked, and wondering why it felt so real. Because to your subconscious, it is real. It's the emotional truth of how trapped you've been feeling, even if you haven't admitted it yet. Most people overlook the setting of their dream, but that might be the most revealing detail of all, because where the chase happens isn't random. It's a symbol, just like the fear itself, and your subconscious chooses it for a reason. Maybe you're running through a collapsing building. Maybe it's a dark alley, a school hallway, or even your childhood home. At first it seems like background noise, but look closer. That environment often holds emotional weight, memories, trauma, or pressure tied to real-life situations you've buried. If the dream takes place somewhere chaotic or broken, like a burning house or an unfamiliar maze, it may reflect inner instability. You're overwhelmed, and your mind is turning that chaos into a literal world you can't escape from. If it's happening somewhere familiar, like your old school or your parents' house, the dream might be pulling you back to unresolved emotions from that time in your life. A lot of people report being chased in places they haven't seen in years. That's not nostalgia. That's your mind reopening a door it's been trying to keep shut. The setting is your emotional backdrop. It represents the context of your stress, where it began, what environment taught you to run instead of face. And sometimes, the environment doesn't change. The same dream keeps looping in the same place. That usually means there's something specific you haven't faced in that chapter of your life, something your subconscious is urging you to revisit. Because it's not just about who's chasing you, it's about where you learned to be afraid in the first place, and your dream won't let you move forward until you understand where that fear was born. There's a moment in these dreams that always feels the same. You're about to be caught, footsteps closing in, breath hot on your neck, and just before it happens, you jolt awake. Heart pounding, body tense, completely disoriented. That sudden wake-up, it's not just your body reacting to fear. It's your brain hitting a wall, because most chase dreams don't end. They stop, right before the climax, right before the confrontation. Psychologically, that's not an accident. It's a warning. When your mind wakes you up before the dream can resolve, it's because you're not ready or willing to face what's behind it. You're holding on to something that feels too big, too raw, too complicated to look at directly, so the dream builds tension until it can't go any further. And then it ejects you. It's like emotional emergency brakes. Your brain is processing more than you're consciously prepared to handle. And instead of letting you get caught, instead of forcing you to see the thing you're running from, it pulls the plug. What's even more interesting is how often this pattern repeats. The same dream, different versions, always ending the same way, right before the impact. And that tells you something important. Whatever this dream is circling around, it's unresolved, still lingering, still asking for your attention, because when you wake up just before the confrontation, it's not relief, it's postponement. You're delaying the moment that could bring clarity, closure, or even healing. So if your chase dreams always end before the truth appears, ask yourself, what am I afraid to face? Not in the dream, in real life, because until you do, that final scene will keep cutting short, and your mind will keep pressing repeat. Some dreams feel like a one-time thing. Others feel like a loop you can't break. And if your chase dream keeps coming back, night after night, week after week, that's not just stress. That's avoidance becoming a cycle. Recurring chase dreams, are one of the strongest indicators that something in your life is being pushed aside. A decision you're not making, a truth you're not speaking, a fear you're pretending doesn't exist. And your subconscious, it doesn't let things slide. When your mind doesn't get closure, it starts sending the same signal over and over, hoping you'll eventually pay attention. That's why these dreams don't evolve. You don't get caught. You don't escape. You just run. And every time, it feels a little more desperate. These cycles often form during high-pressure periods, when you're living out of alignment with what you want, or constantly compromising who you are to meet someone else's expectations. It builds tension that never gets released, so your brain creates a world where the pressure chases you, because that's exactly what's happening while you're awake. What's strange is how normalized it starts to feel. You shrug it off. You get used to waking up unsettled, but your body doesn't forget, and your mind doesn't forgive avoidance. It waits for you to do something about it. So if the same chase keeps playing out in your sleep, ask yourself one honest question. What am I refusing to face that would make this dream stop? Because until you confront it in your waking life, your subconscious will keep running, and it'll take you with it. Then one night, something shifts. You're running, just like always. But this time, you hesitate. You turn around. You face whatever's been chasing you. And what happens next isn't what you expected. The fear doesn't consume you. The dream doesn't spiral. In fact, sometimes it ends right there. That single moment, choosing to stop running, is one of the most powerful signals your subconscious can send. Because in dream psychology, turning to face your pursuer often marks a major emotional breakthrough. It means something inside you is ready to stop avoiding, ready to confront what's been buried, ready to take back control. The dream hasn't gone away, but it's evolved, because you've started to evolve. And what's most revealing is that the pursuer often changes once you face it. Sometimes it turns into someone you know. Sometimes it disappears completely. Sometimes it speaks. Because once fear is seen clearly, it stops being just fear. It becomes something you can name. And when you can name it, you can deal with it. These dreams tend to surface after a meaningful shift in waking life. Maybe you set a boundary, told the truth, asked for help, started therapy, or simply admitted to yourself that you're not okay. And that admission opened a door. The anxiety may still exist, but now it's not in control. You're no longer just the one being chased. You're the one choosing whether to run. And once that dynamic flips, even just once, your mind starts to let go of the loop. Not because the danger's gone, but because you're finally willing to face it. And that, more than anything else, is how healing begins. Most people think dreams are just background noise, random images with no real meaning. But if you've ever woken up sweating from a chase you couldn't escape, you know better. Those dreams don't come from nowhere. They come from you, from the parts you've been avoiding, silencing, or carrying for too long without letting anyone see. A chase dream isn't about being hunted. It's about being overwhelmed. And the thing you're running from? It's rarely some external threat. It's often a version of yourself. Your guilt, your fear, your unspoken truth, trying to catch up. The more you ignore it, the more relentless the dream becomes. It won't stop because your mind needs you to stop pretending everything's fine, to stop burying the anxiety that's quietly shaping how you move through the world. But here's the part that matters most. The dream isn't trying to scare you. It's trying to help you. It's showing you where the fear lives, what you haven't healed, and what might finally set you free. If you're willing to turn around and look it in the face, because when you stop running, everything changes. The dream loses its grip, the fear starts to shrink, and what felt like a nightmare becomes something else entirely. A message, a breakthrough, a chance to finally come home to yourself. So the next time you wake up from that dream, don't push it away. Ask what it's trying to show you, because the key to understanding your anxiety might be hiding in the very thing you've been too afraid to face.